Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today to learn more about accessibility tips and how to make accessible documents. Today, we're going to go into the specifics around heading styles. That is one of the first tips in order to create an accessible document. So there's a few ways of going about making accessible documents. However, the easiest format and programs to utilize when making accessible documents is actually going to be in Microsoft Office programs. The two easiest programs to utilize are going to be Microsoft Word, which we have this document in as our example today, but also Microsoft PowerPoint. However, though, with the topic of heading styles, there are actually a few ways of going about this too, as well. And what you're going to want to make sure first that you do is indicate and note all the headings or the titles in your document. That can be the main title, that could be section titles if your document is separated into sections, as well as paragraph titles. Since we have a main title, what we're going to do is we are going to either highlight the text that we want to create a heading level 1, or we are going to place our cursor on that line of text. And the first way of creating a heading style is going up to the top right here in our home toolbar. And there's going to be a box that reads styles. It has 5 style options right now showing at our display right now. However, there are more heading levels and styles to choose from, but the third choice in the middle right here is going to be heading level 1. And if you hover over these options, it will showcase what those heading levels are. Just going to undo this. And then the next option, you can also find your heading styles on that heading styles box in this third little arrow drop down menu that reads more. You click on that and then it will show all the heading levels right here. Another way to find your styles box is actually going to be in the styles box, but then there is a right-hand corner box right here, as well as it showcases, if you hover over this arrow, the keyboard shortcut to get the styles box, which is the Alt button, the Control button, the Shift button, and the letter S. You hold that down at the same time. But we're going to click on that arrow and it will bring up all the styles that you can choose from. Since we have our main title text already highlighted, what I'm going to do is click on heading level 1 and it's going to create the heading. 2 other ways that you could go about this is once we highlight actually the text, it will bring up a box with font style, font size, and then different options to change the text. However, there also is going to be a styles box off to the right-hand side of this box. And again, if you hover over that, it will read styles. And you're just going to click on that. And then from here, you can create your heading levels. Again, heading level 1 is going to be your third option. And then the last way of creating a heading style is actually going to be a keyboard shortcut. And for PC computers and laptops, what you're going to want to hold down is the Control button, the Alt button, and for heading level 1s, you're going to press the number 1 on your keyboard, and that will create your heading level 1. If you want to create your heading level 2s or 3s, you're going to press down those same buttons on your keyboard. Again, Control, Alt, and then the number that corresponds with the heading level, either 2 or 3. However, though, if you do have a Mac or an Apple computer, you could still do this, but the keyboard or shortcuts are going to be different, just slightly different. You're going to want to hold down the Command button, the Alt button, and then the number that corresponds with the heading style that you want to create. So I'm going to create these other 2 into a heading level 2 and then a heading level 3 while using my keyboard shortcuts. The other tip and also helpful tool in Microsoft Word as well as Microsoft PowerPoint, and then this is also in Google Docs as well, is the navigation pane. And this just showcases an outline of all of the heading styles as well as pages that help you navigate through a document. Where you're going to want to go is the View tab, which is right next to the Review tab. You'll click on that, and then there is a box that reads Show, and there's three options which showcase the ruler, grid lines, and navigation pane. And so you'll want to click on Navigation pane, and this will bring up the navigation pane off to the left-hand side right here. Again, the default is navigating this document through headings, but you can also navigate it through pages and results, but pages and headings are going to be the typical two that you're going to utilize. And once you have your headings in this document already notated and created, it will place your heading levels right here in your styles. So then it's an easy navigation for this document. You just click on them and it will lead you where you need to go in this document. Again, this is very, very helpful for individuals who are blind, have visual impairments, or have any type of disability that requires them to utilize an accessible document in order to participate in events or learning environments. Again, like I said, you can use Google Docs and Google Slides to create accessible documents. There's accessible features within Google Docs, Google Slides, and all. And in order to make headings within Google Docs, what you'll want to do is, again, either place your cursor on that line of text or highlight your text. And then there are a few options. You can either go up to this taskbar where it reads normal text right next to the font style. And you could click on this drop-down menu and you can go down to the heading level that you'd like. I'm going to go down to heading level 1, and then all I have to do is just hover over that, and then I click on Apply Heading 1. And then also you could utilize the Format tab at the top of your Google Doc and go down to Paragraph Styles, and then go down to the heading level that you'd like. I'm going to go down to heading 1, highlight over that or hover over that and click Apply Heading 1. In Google Docs, you could also utilize the keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to press down Control-Alt-1 to create my heading level. And if you are using the Mac or the Apple, again, press down Command-Alt and then the number of heading that you would like to make. I'm creating just these other headings. And just like I showed you in Microsoft Word, Google Docs also creates an outline, which is the same as the navigation pane. And you could click through this and it will bring you to where you need to go and navigate through your document. Just as a recap, again, headings create document structure. They provide user-friendly navigation through your document. And again, you'll want to apply headings to main titles, section titles, and paragraph titles within your document. And again, what you keep in mind is that there are keyboard shortcuts that are easy for anyone who utilizes a keyboard in order to move around documents and to create certain things. However, there are also options that allow you to click around on those programs to create your heading styles. Main titles are going to be typically heading 1. Section titles will be heading 2 typically, and then typically heading level 3 will be those paragraph titles. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today to learn more about heading styles and creating accessible content and documents. If you have any questions in regards to making heading styles and applying the heading styles to any written content, please feel free to reach out to me. My name is Courtney. I am the CWDS Accessibility and Compliance Remediation Coordinator, and you can email me at cketcham@sdsu.edu. Thank you all for the continued interest in accessibility. This is highly important, especially for all of us, because we may be in conversations with individuals with disabilities that may require accessible resources and tools and also accessible content in front of them in order to participate in a conversation or even a training event. Thank you again for all the work that you do in the Academy and CWDS, or even if you're a service provider and you also serve the communities that you serve and families, we appreciate all of your work We also appreciate your continued partnership with us, and we hope that you have a great day.